You're watching ESPN's coverage of Champ Week, and welcome to the Ohio Valley Conference Men's Soccer Championship on ESPN+. Semi-final day gets underway with a 2-3 matchup between HCU and Lindenwood. Welcome inside Ralph Cordy Stadium. He's Daniel Esteve. I'm Jake Griffith. Thanks for joining us from Edwardsville, Illinois. Daniel, we have a matchup of two teams. Formationally, they're the same, but it's a clash of styles. A high-octane offense in Lindenwood and a defensive-minded team in Houston Christian.
Yeah, Jake, at the end of the day, we're talking about a semifinal matchup. You're talking about two of the better teams in the OVC, but there is a bit of history between these two teams. Lindenwood, second in the table throughout the entire regular season, despite the fact that they were among the best teams in the OVC. They had to play a first-round matchup. As the 3 seed, Houston Christian gets that 2 seed because of pods. You can bet there's going to be a little bit of bitter energy in this one.
Let's look at our bracket presented by ServPro, the official restoration services partner of the OVC. A lot on the line between these teams. A berth to the Ohio Valley Conference Championship Final on Saturday. Daniel, what are you looking for between these sides?
Well, something to note is Lindenwood has been playing with so much energy. 7 games straight without a loss. But if they do make it to the championship, they still aren't eligible to qualify for the postseason. So Houston Christian is really playing for that opportunity to compete for the postseason. Lindenwood is just playing for that hard.
We have 2 players we have our eye on tonight. They are players to watch, presented by Jostens, the official recognition company of the OVC. For Lindenwood, it's the midfielder, John Gates.
John Gates, so familiar, not only because of his play around the St. Louis area, a John Burroughs grad in the St. Louis metro area, but his father also an SIUE grad. He played soccer right in this area. He's going to feel right at home, and he also feels at home in the final third for the Lions as one of their top creators.
As for Houston Christian, and you'll notice a theme, it's players that are in the midfield. Sam Seaman, a player to watch for HCU.
Sam Seaman is absolutely a rock for this Houston Christian team. He leads the entire conference in passes, and that's for a team that leads the entire conference in possession. Look for them to play patient football throughout the entire day, and Sam Seaman is going to be the focal point for a lot of that.
85 minutes per game for the OVC first teamer. Those are our players to watch, presented by Jostens. We'll head to break on ESPN+. When we return, we'll take a look at how these sides line up and our keys to victory for both teams. Kickoff coming up next between Houston Christian and Lindenwood.
You know where he is? This way?
Need a lift?
Hope you brought coffee.
The December to Remember sales event. Get offers on select models.
Stop it! Can we stop for food?
No, hay comida en la casa.
Can we stop for food?
No, hay comida en la casa. Vamos.
Hay comida en la casa. ¿Tienes hambre?
These are my teeth. A few overlap.
Others are straight, crooked, and capped.
Oral-B Electric cleans better with one simple touch.
No matter what kind of teeth, you gotta brush.
Oral-B's dentist-inspired round brush head hugs them, cleans them, gets in between, going where regular brushes don't reach, so teeth get 100% better clean. These are my teeth, the key to my look.
And here's how I perfectly clean every nook.
Your perfect clean starts with Oral-B.
Welcome to the Credit Karmaverse, a place where financial progress can happen at the speed of delight. Here we help you achieve your money goals fast, like improving your credit scores in a matter of days fast, so you don't have to wait around to see your hard work pay off. Oh, well done. Simply scan your screen to experience Intuit Credit Karma for yourself.
Another crazy crazy season. Are you ready to keep this rolling? Let's go.
With ESPN Plus, catch live NFL games.
And enjoy the show.
Plus, NFL shows from some of the biggest names in the game.
Let's go to the tape.
This ball is just thrown into a defensive team meeting.
NFL Prime Time, only on ESPN Plus.
Oh, did I mention our exclusive expert analysis? Why settle for some football when you can have more football? It's simple. ESPN Plus equals more football. Stream now.
When you're the leader...
Back in Edwardsville, Illinois, almost kickoff between Houston Christian and Lindenwood in this OVC semifinal. A chance to take a look at how these sides line up. We start with the 3 seed, the Lindenwood Lions, and for head coach Chris Bursch, it's a 4-4-2, starting in goal, Enzo Gill, 59 saves on the season, 7 shutouts, Daniel.
Chris Bursch, talking about a 4-4-2, he said the same thing in their quarterfinal matchup. About 5 seconds into this matchup, you didn't see anything about a 4-4-2. Look for some of their players to really give a lot of width, almost looking like a 3-5-2, and a big focal point for that is going to be the effort of Mekhi Wright down the left side.
As for HCU and head coach Ryan Pratt, a 4-4-2 of their own. In goal, Alex Aitken, also 7 shutouts.
A 4-4-2, yes, but you're going to see a heavy overload on the left side, and so you're going to see Thomas Wyke very isolated in that right back position, and now you can start to see that take shape because we're playing some football.
We are underway. Our official today, Alex Beeler, Houston Christian in the white, Lindenwood in the black. This a rematch in this OVC semifinal from their 1-1 draw back in October. HCU opting to work it around across the back. It's a slow, plodding approach for Ryan Pratt and this HCU team. A heavy emphasis, Daniel, on building from the back and high possession numbers.
And it makes sense because when you look at all their numbers, they lead the conference, like I mentioned, in possession and in passes. So you're going to see a lot of play, specifically down that left side. You can see the number of bodies in white jerseys down that left side already. And then isolated on that right side, Thomas Wyke. He's going to be a focal point to create width down the right side. But Houston Christian's going to look to overload, and that's going to be tough for a Lindenwood defense to manage.
Aitken moving it with his feet. Ryan Pratt says that Alex Aitken, the way he's grown this year, most notably has been in the distribution, the use of his feet, and that's a key for this HCU team as they want to try to build from the back, having struggles with it, though, right now.
Absolutely, and that's one thing that I was more concerned about heading into this matchup on Sunday in the quarterfinals. You talk about a perfect day, 65 degrees, sunny outside. Today is quite the opposite. You squint your eyes enough, you may just think you're outside in a small town of Manchester in England. Gloomy, rainy, and a little bit of a tough condition for both of these teams. So if you're looking to play heavy possession, that means you're not making mistakes because you're going to put yourself in a dangerous position if you do. Houston Christian not only battling a great defense in Lindenwood, but also the conditions at Ralph Cordy Stadium.
Goal clearance from Enzo Gill gets play back underway. That pass offline. Daniel, the weather is a factor today. Rain has been falling in the area all morning and afternoon. How does the weather impact this match?
Especially on turf. You'll see it on grass as well, but the ball's going to be moving just a bit quicker. And a lot of times, especially for defenders with balls over the top, they have to be able to read not only the speed, but the skip of the ball. And you allow one ball to just skip a bit too much or a bit more than you're used to, well, then the other team's in on goal, and you're losing that big opportunity. And when you get to semifinal action, it's the one opportunity that makes the difference.
Our weather track today presented by Sunbelt Bakery, the tastiest flavors under the sun. Lions with a free kick. Blake lifts it into the area, headed back on, bouncing around off Caldwell. And finally gloved down by Aitken. Lindenwood were searching for a handball in the box, not to be had, and the throw-out gets things back underway.
A couple arms in the air, and that's a tough decision because you look at Honest Smallvik, his hands are in the air. When the ball's still very much in play in the box, you pounce on that second, third opportunities. Those are usually the killers coming off of set pieces. Almost a missed opportunity for Lindenwood, but they're attacking, and they're attacking early.
Lions showing that high press as Houston Christian trying to break out of it. Up the near touchline. No options going forward. It's worked back to Theo Butterworth.
And credit to Coach Bursch. We talk about how he switches out of that 4-4-2 relatively quickly. You can't necessarily see it on your screen right now, but as that full 22, when you're looking at this defense, you can very much see that 4-4-2 shape out of possession when Lindenwood is playing defense. Once they have that ball, you're going to see bodies flying forward with 3 at the back.
This Houston Christian team led the OVC during the regular season in possession numbers, averaging 57.4 per match. They outpossessed Lindenwood heavily in that 1-1 draw, 62-38 back in October.
And I'll tell you what, Lindenwood isn't going to care very much. As long as they get their possession where they want it, which is in the offensive third, Lindenwood is going to get the opportunities that they want. And being one of the best creators in the OVC in scoring chances, Lindenwood will be fine without having possession for most of the ballgame.
Houston Christian looking for options to open up. A little frustration there in the midfield from Morgan Worsfold Gregg. Let's work back to Butterworth now. And swung to this near side to Leza. The team leader in minutes is Hans Leza. This is done. Had it knocked away by Ethan Blake. It falls back to Leza.
So many people talk about Ethan's Blake goal-scoring prowess, but I think one thing that you're already seeing different from Lindenwood's bout with Western Illinois in the quarterfinals, how high they're pressing. You're going to see a lot of action from Ethan Blake and Anis Smalvik up top. Right now, they're allowing their opponents to pass around the back like they want, holding on to possession in non-dangerous areas. You saw a heavier press in that first matchup. I think Lindenwood's coming out with a bit more patience, and they're going to pick and choose their spots on when they really want to initiate that high press.
The long throw from Mackay Wright is cleared away by Houston Christian. Up ahead, this is Giwa McNeil.
And this was a big talking point for a coach and his team, Coach Ryan Pratt. They're going to have possession, but once they get it into that final third, it's all about execution. And he'd like to see a bit more creativity in the final third to open up that Lindenwood defense and potentially get a goal-scoring opportunity.
Long pass over the top from Butterworth. Deft touch by Okarayi. Trying to knife through defenders here. Worsfold Gregg steers this back. It's Butterworth. HCU will try to attack from the far channel. Worked up ahead and now lifted into the area. Cleared away off the foot of Isaac Johnson, but it concedes a corner to Houston Christian.
So much patience for Houston Christian. So willing to attack the box. If nothing's there, recycle it back out to their center backs. We talked so much about our player to watch in Sam Zeman. Recycle through him, find an opportunity in the middle, and then put in a killer ball into the box. Now they see themselves with a corner kick, and this is where things are going to get interesting. Throughout the season, heavy attack on the far post, so look for the white jerseys at that back post to be receiving some service here.
Houston Christian just 1 goal off corners in their last 9 matches. It came against these Lions back in October. Worsfold Gregg curls this to the back post. Overhit there and headed away by Lindenwood.
Just a bit too much on that initial service, but watch for the second.
Second ball back in, deflected toward goal and wide. A sigh of relief for Chris Bursch and the Lindenwood touchlines. A goal kick awarded to Enzo Gill, but the first true opportunity of the match, Daniel, goes to HCU.
And Jake, I don't care what level of soccer you're being played, whether you're playing at the youth level or up to the MLS level. I was just talking to interim head coach John Hackworth about the second ball coming off corner kicks for St. Louis City SC. Even at the MLS level, that's going to be the focal point.
Danger territory here. Forcing the issue was John Gates, and there's our player to watch for Lindenwood, winning a throw-in a dangerous spot for the Lions.
He can create so much havoc in all different ways, whether the ball's at his feet or he's pressing up front. But another point to that second ball, it can look a lot of different ways. A lot of times you'll attack a back post and send it back to the middle or the near post for a second head to get onto it. But it also looks a lot like what Houston Christian just did. Even if that ball goes out wide, it's regathering, finding a different shape, and sending another cross back into the box.
The Central Methodist transfer, Isaac Johnson, will have the throw on this near touchline. Daniel, we saw in Lindenwood's first contest, the long throws caused Western Illinois a bevy of issues.
And you're never going to see anything off that initial contact. It's always that second contact, similar to what we just talked about with Houston Christian, off the throw in particular, because typically you can't get as much zip on the ball just chucking it into the box. If you don't get that zip, you're going to need that redirection to set up a goal-scoring opportunity.
A chance to look at our keys to the match presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Designated drivers are the real MVP. If you've been drinking, pass your keys to a sober friend. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office reminds you that fans don't let fans drive drunk. For Lindenwood, Chris Bursch telling his team this week, be consistent and finish their chances.
Well, 7 games without a loss. Just stick to what you're doing. Be consistent in what your principles are, but finishing chances is going to be key against Houston Christian, because I can tell you you're not going to get a lot of chances if you're Lindenwood, given the possession stats that Houston Christian will have.
As for Houston Christian, Ryan Pratt says, patience in possession and be creative in the way you break Lindenwood down.
They're going to need to be patient and creative, but that final ball is going to be the key. And again, that's something that we talked about with Coach Ryan Pratt. He needs to see just a bit more creativity. That's going to be the difference for Houston Christian in that final third.
The keys to the match presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. A reminder that designated drivers are the real MVP. If you've been drinking, pass your keys to a sober friend. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office reminds you that fans don't let fans drive drunk. Through the middle, Houston Christian goes. It's Herrera. Now turning on it. Worsfold Greg, head of steam, has it knocked away by John Gates, and there is why we emphasize John Gates. Not just offensively, but he hustles and gets back defensively.
It's all about his intensity. He also just knows the game so well. We mentioned his father, who played for SIUE back in the 80s. That is a team and a family that knows the game of soccer, and you certainly see that with John Gates.
Leza has to steer this back to Butterworth. There just aren't many options going forward right now for HCU, but this is the way they like to play. We just showed you the keys. Ryan Pratt preaches to his team, be patient. Pick your spots going forward.
And things are going to be a bit nervy. You're talking about a semifinal, but it's mistakes like that can set up the few opportunities Lindenwood will be looking to get. And like we talked about in our keys to the game, they need to maximize the few opportunities they're potentially going to get. But also with HCU, especially in the quarterfinal, we talked so much about how these Ohio Valley Conference teams want to attack from the wing with plenty of width. HCU is the complete opposite. You've already seen early in this game, they'll be patient, but they'll look for that killer ball right through the heart of the defense, right through the middle of the pitch.
Thumped clear and out of play. Lindenwood will have a throw in. Johnson again will take it, making his 17th start of 2024. Gates nudged forward to Blake. Perestrello struggles with the touch. Now this worked back toward Blake and cleared away. Headed back on to Frankham, the transfer out of Elon.
And fans can get a really clear look at that back three right now in possession. Lindenwood talking about a 4-4-2, but as they get into their offensive possession, you see Mekhi Wright work his way up, and they hold 3 back in defense.
Worked up ahead. Now Houston Christian transitioning. Cross stood up, touch taken, knocked away by the Lions, and it's across the end line. Another corner awarded.
In all reality, very uncharacteristic of HCU. They do not play a lot of possession-based soccer, and that was a great opportunity in transition to get a goal-scoring opportunity, but only 2 white jerseys forward. They're looking to establish their offensive shape via possession. If they're going to get that opportunity, they'll take it, but don't look for that to be a norm throughout this game.
And it's not often Houston Christian attacks up this left side. Just 28% of their attacks have come through this left channel. Another corner for HCU. They have the match's only 2.
Look again for this far post and look for the redirect right by the middle of the box.
Wyke will take this. Players mixing it up inside the 18.
Just exchanging some friendly hellos, I'm sure.
Wind is a bit of a factor, as Wyke will have this from the near flag. Wyke lifts this. Outswinging ball, and a whistle sounds.
Is that John Gates with the hands in the box? Great hands. You know, maybe it's not just soccer in the family. Maybe he's got some football as well.
Hey, if Lindenwood ever needs an emergency goalkeeper, maybe they can rely on John Gates in a different area.
I'll tell you what, maybe their football team could use him as well, but then again, they took down SEMO, a top 10 ranked team in FCS just this past weekend. It's been a great week for Lindenwood Athletics. They'll look to add to that with their men's soccer program this weekend.
The women's soccer program just recently winning the Ohio Valley Conference Tournament Championship. Their men's soccer program trying to punch their ticket to the championship match here at Ralph Cordy Stadium. Stretch pass down the far side, headed away by Caldwell, away from danger, and HCU will have a throw in.
And there is HCU trying to work their way down that right side. Because they overload so many white jerseys to the left, you're going to see a lot of isolation. Thomas White being a focal point for that number 20. But here they are, resetting their shape, getting back into their possession-based offense. This is where weather can continue to play a little bit of a factor. Right now it isn't actively raining, but it is very slick out there. They've got to be really concise with their passing. Make sure they don't lose that ball in the final third, because players like Blake, players like Smallvik, and players like Gates will pounce the second there's a loose ball.
Worked through the middle. This is Dunn now. Dunn surveying. Rolls this out wide. It's Leza. HCU will switch it to the far touchline. Trying to tightrope that touchline, and Wyke cannot. Just across the line, and change of possession will occur via the throw-in.
And this is when you're going to see so many black jerseys just moving forward, getting out of that concise, disciplined 4-4-2 defensive shape. They're going to look to expand and at least get 4 or 5 black jerseys in the box in the offensive third.
Lions couldn't settle on it. It's worked back to Butterworth. Pressured now is Butterworth. Calm under that pressure, though, finding Herrera. And forward come the Huskies, but that's deflected to the feet of Enzo Gill.
You're starting to see that discipline despite the press. Lindenwood trying to pick and choose their spots on when to actively attack. They did there, but HCU able to calmly break out of that pressure and get into transition. You clearly see that they've done some homework on Lindenwood and playing off of that last draw that they had together, Coach Ryan Pratt. Allowing that pressure to come their way, they're going to play through it, and if they have to play possession-based, that's totally fine, but they're going to hold on to that possession as long as they can and see if they can translate that into some transition offense.
Bijou, long pass over the top, was intercepted and headed away. This worked back to Hans Leza, and now steered to Alex Aitken.
How many times did we see Ethan Blake just running at the Western Illinois goalkeeper in that first quarterfinal match? You are not seeing any of that right now. In fact, Ethan Blake, the second man back behind his teammate in Smallvik up top. Interesting difference in the contrasting styles of play Lindenwood's come out with from their quarterfinal to this semifinal. They clearly respect Houston Christian's ability to play through a press.
Also respecting Houston Christian's ability to string multiple passes together. The Huskies completed the second most passes of any OVC team during league play.
And fans are already getting a taste of that. Again, picking and choosing their spots. John Gates putting that initial pressure on. Ball's out of play. No problems whatsoever on playing that back to their keeper. And you see Lindenwood slowly start to back off because they've got to conserve energy as well.
Ryan Pratt telling us earlier this week when we chatted with him that scoring first and early important here for the Huskies. This ball falls through. A player went down for HCU, but Pemberton keeps it in on the line. Stood up, the cross to the back post, bouncing around, and Lindenwood will clear it away.
That was HCU to a T. Playing in possession, lulling the defense to sleep in the back, and then one quick slot back out to Thomas Wyke, spreading that defense down the right side, allows for an opportunity to put a ball into the back post, and it slides through that entire Lindenwood defense, just nobody home to slot that home.
Caldwell ahead to Blake. Blake's pass intercepted, knocked away as Herrera picks it up.
Just so impressive from HCU so early on, and Coach talked about this, Coach Ryan Pratt. Defensive woes to start the season, and they began the season playing with a 3-back formation, completely shifted their mentality to a 4-4-2 with that overload on the left side. Not only has it offered a unique approach to their offense, but it's also offered, most importantly to Coach and this team, some defensive stability.
Ryan Pratt saying that our defenders are actually our best forwards. It's very unconventional thinking. He also keyed in on Lindenwood's counterattack. The Lions unable to turn a true counter there.
Well, you talk about creativity in passing. It's been primarily the defensive players on the HCU side that have started this offense. So that makes complete sense that defense is the catalyst for the offense. But they can score, too. We talk about our players to watch. Sam Zeman on that back line. 2 goals on the season on 2 shots on goal. 1 assist as well. That's tough to do from the back.
Daniel, we're almost 20 minutes deep into this first half. What stood out to you?
I think this is right to our script. We were a little surprised by the way Incarnate Word came out to play in their quarterfinal and the aggression that they had. But this, in terms of what we were expecting and what we've seen so far, has been true to form. HCU coming out with heavy possession, creating opportunities. Lindenwood's opportunities, few and far between. I think if you're Lindenwood, you probably want to see a bit more done in the few times you do have possession. But it's so few and far between, it can get so frustrating. Because as soon as you get that ball back, you want to jump into action and try to get a goal-scoring opportunity. Maybe Lindenwood needs to have a bit more patience, similar to HCU.
This is Herrera. Laid back to Herrera now. Ryan Pratt earlier in the week, he likened his approach to a team that very 3 formation under head coach Chris Grassi. That's a team that has had success doing it, building from the back, playing a heavy possession-oriented style. Marshall winning the national championship in 2020. Ryan Pratt joking, saying, I know that sounds like a crazy comparison because we don't have a star on our crest, but it's a proven successful approach at the collegiate level.
Well, Jake, you have your eyes on so much college soccer around the country, but Marshall is one that's a bit closer to home for you, given your experience with the team. So I guess I'll throw that question right back to you, is have you seen those similarities early on in this matchup?
It is very similar. Marshall plays more in a 4-3-3 traditionally under Grassi and company, whereas this is more of a 4-4-2, a hybrid. They will break out this Houston Christian team in 3 backs like they're doing right now. We see a 3-back here as they're trying to break out from their own defensive third.
And it's interesting because that's a battle on that left side for the Lindenwood Lions. You have Makai Wright, who pushes so far forward offensively, leaving that back line potentially exposed down the right side. But inversely, you have Thomas Wyke on the right side attacking that very same space for Lindenwood. So a battle of those 2 key figures on these offenses are going to be interesting to see.
Makai Wright for Lindenwood marking Thomas Wyke over on that far touchline, just out of your screen up on the top side. And there is Wyke in white at the top. That is just how far they will move Wyke up the pitch.
And look,
here is Wyke. Wyke, service into the box and deflected wide.
2 opportunities so far for HCU, both coming from Thomas Wyke. And I urge you, if you're watching, to keep an eye on that far line. Unbelievable opportunity. Thomas Wyke finding space right past that Lindenwood defense and slotting not 1 but 2 opportunities in for HCU. Those have been the biggest opportunities of the game so far, and it's coming from that key figure in Thomas Wyke.
That far right channel, as that one cleared out, that far right channel is the bread and butter for this Houston Christian team, who will have a throw in. 37% of their attacks come from that top side, and we see why, Daniel. It's successful moving the wingback Wyke up.
And it's so interesting from a viewing perspective because as you see the ball move up the pitch, out of nowhere you just see a lonely number 20 standing on the touchline so far seemingly from everything else, but he really is the focal point. That's the final ball they want to get to, and once they get it to him, you can anticipate that an opportunity is coming out of it.
Nudged out wide to Wyke, who coughs it up. Caldwell underneath it now. Dangerous pass back, up ahead to Frankham. Lindenwood struggling to hold on to possession. Defender goes to ground. That's cleared out, and it will be an HCU throw. This is somewhat uncharacteristic of what we're used to seeing from this Lindenwood. Very crisp passing, and we're not seeing that right now.
Well, typically, you can talk about formations all you want, but this is going to be a completely different ball game from Lindenwood. This is the mental game. They're not going to have the ball. It's going to be frustrating. The weather is nasty. It's cold and rainy. Everything about this situation is not pleasant for the Lindenwood Lions. all the more reason they've got to step up, they've got to stay disciplined, and they've got to stay true to their principles. They came into this game knowing they weren't going to have a lot of the possession. They need to capitalize when they do, and they got to stay disciplined, not get too frustrated when they're taking on as much possession as they're taking on from HCU.
Chris Bursch told us earlier in the week that the goal for every player on this team, be dependable, limit mistakes. Here's a mistake. Can Houston Christian capitalize? Laid off. Top of the box. The shot just goes wide. Curtis Dunn misses that far post. It was deflected out by Gill, and another corner coming for HCU.
Enzo Gill, head on a swivel. He's been pretty busy early on in this matchup, just over 21 minutes in this first half to go. Check out the replay, that top of the box. So many black jerseys retreating to defend the number of white jerseys. They leave the top of the box exposed. That's an opportunity for HCU.
Gill, third most saves in the OVC this season. Rio Pemberton will take this from the far flag. Pemberton, outswinging ball, headed down, cleared away. A short clearance. Leza picks up the pieces for HCU. Cross stood up, headed back in, and it does go wide.
That second phase of the corner, it's always so dangerous, and you've seen it twice from HCU now. Those bodies that were there for the corner kick, they're not retreating initially. As soon as that ball gets played right outside the box, those white jerseys are going to hang around just long enough to see if that back line loses sight of them, and once that ball is played back in, very dangerous opportunity for HCU, just can't capitalize.
Lions will have a goal kick to get things back underway. A shin guard popped out for Noe Bijou, and that has been rectified. Make that Jermaine Mentor. That's been rectified. Can't go without those. I know the shin guards these days in soccer are getting smaller and smaller. It's almost like, what's the point? But you still have to have it.
I think some guys may put just a baseball card or a soccer card in there, call it a shin guard. So in their defense, it may be hard to find if it does come out on the field. But player safety always at the forefront. And the shin guards, they are a staple, certainly, across the soccer community.
Here's Lindenwood quickly breaking out. Up ahead at Smallvik. Fights off one challenge now. Crossed in. Back post. Looking for Mackay Wright, and it's flicked clear by HCU. Headed back on by Bijou. HCU, their bench, pleading for a foul. They won't get it. Leza intercepts and clears it forward. Ryan Pratt incensed on that Noe Bijou aerial duel that there was not a whistle. We could hear it all the way up here, even with the windows closed.
Lindenwood with their first real opportunity, and of course, who at the focal point in that opportunity, John Gates. I really liked what I saw from Honest Smallvik, electing not to try to play at the goalie, get a touch forward, get a shot on goal. Instead, he uses his body to hold off the defender, recycles the ball to John Gates, and John Gates is able to put a ball back into the box. It's a good sign for Lindenwood, but they still have to remain disciplined because those opportunities, they won't come around too often. They got to capitalize when they get them.
Giwa McNeil whistled for the infraction. That will wash out an opportunity for Houston Christian. Lindenwood's offense, as you just mentioned, starting to find their footing, and in the later stages of the first half is really where Lindenwood comes alive. The Lions' 6 combined goals, make it 5 combined goals from the 16th minute on in the first half.
I think it takes time to feel out a team, right? But I think so much of this matchup, it's really fun to talk about the formations. It's really fun to talk about how these teams plan to attack each other and the contrasting styles at which they do. But on a muggy day in Edwardsville, Illinois, it really is just going to come down to the discipline of both these teams. Can Lindenwood stick with their principles despite not having the ball as much as they're used to? Can HCU continue to play, understanding that this may be a 1-0 ball game and it's going to take one opportunity to do it?
Here's Wright. Lifts this in the area. Touch taken by Gates. Short header away from danger. Off the volley, Frankham hits that, and it's cleared out by Curtis Dunn. Herrera picks the pocket there of Caldwell. Racing forward is Herrera. Past one defender and goes down.
2 jerseys in white, 6 jerseys in black. It just shows HCU not, again, that transition-based team. A good opportunity there. They're going to have those opportunities, but Lindenwood comfortable, retreating and playing some good defense. I really feel like, as odd as it sounds, that save from Enzo Hill, despite the offense from HCU, really showed a turning point. Lindenwood seems to be finding their rhythm right now.
Blake able to peel that one back. Rolled through the middle. It's Gates. Gates has a hit from distance, and it's stopped by Aitken.
Oh, well done. I love the patience from Henrik Perestrello. Could have gone for the through ball down the right side of the box. The keeper's left. Instead elects to go to John Gates at the top of the box. Gives him a wide open opportunity. I would have liked to have seen him play it off the volley just a bit more. He elects to go low. And to his credit, a really slick turf. You never know how that ball is going to react. It really could frustrate a goalkeeper with a shot like that, skipping off a quicker turf.
Aitken just one save the last time these teams met up back in October. Has equaled that output already. It's 0-0.
That's got to be a good sign for the neutral fan. We've already got a save. We're already on par with what we saw last time. It is semifinal action after all. We're going to see a better product. Sometimes it can be a bit nervy, a bit stale, but we're getting some great action between both these programs right now.
Worked up this near touchline. This is Pemberton. Herrera back to Leza. And now Houston Christian will settle in and try to build from the back again. Up they come, that far channel. Pressure collapsing in there on Butterworth.
There he is again.
Lifted up ahead. Wyke can't run it down, and it will be a throw in for the Lions.
He almost just gets lost up there, even as the transition turned itself from the left side of the field down to the right side of the field, and you see all the white jerseys working their way into their shape. Well, then off to the side is Thomas Wyke, just waiting for that ball on the touchline, and it's so easy for a defense to lose a guy like that with Mekhi Wright and Cameron Caldwell. If they're not keeping an eye on him constantly, well, then you're going to see that ball over the top or down through the middle, find his feet, which has already created 2 crosses early on in this game.
Lions with a throw deep in their own defensive third. They make a change during the break as well. Salomon Onyege, the freshman from France, comes on for Lindenwood. Butterworth, OVC newcomer team selection this season. Played all 90 minutes back in October against these Lions, making his 18th start in as many appearances.
And it looks like the young striker came on for Honest Smallvik. It looks like they're just going to try to bring a little bit more energy, a little bit more pressure at top. We saw him in that Western Illinois matchup provide some of that energy up top. Looked to be no different in this matchup.
Quinn Connolly, the other change, the junior from St. Louis, Missouri. It's cleared back, and now Leza has it on this near side. A credit to Lindenwood, Daniel. Chris Bursch saying in order to advance in this tournament, they have to be disciplined defensively, keep their shape. We're seeing that, and it is frustrating Houston Christian just a bit.
Absolutely, but then again, Houston Christian has been frustrating Lindenwood this entire time, and I think that's where it's more impressive for Lindenwood is sticking to their principles and understanding chances like this, they're going to come. You just have to be patient.
Up ahead, it's Johnson on the counter, cuts to the byline, and that shot stopped again by Aitken. 3 saves on the evening for Alex Aitken.
Great defensive effort early on. Great transition defense at that in HCU's case. But Lindenwood coming down the right side, they're consistently going to be a threat. That ball just taking a slight deflection into the keeper's gloves.
HCU swings it to the far touchline. Give and go back to Wyke up ahead. Can't get past Caldwell, who nudges it out. Houston Christian will have a throw in. A quick clearance like that can do a lot to just disrupt the oncoming attack.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the more you move, the more you keep things unpredictable, the better things are going to work for you. And the more you get in the box, it helps too.
Herrera tries to get the shot off, has it deflected, and it's thumped further clear by Perestrello.
Lindenwood doing a great job of getting bodies back while maintaining an outlet. The only problem for them is you do still see a lot of defensive discipline on the part of HCU with 5 white jerseys hanging around outside the box and back toward the halfway line, making sure that that transition offense from Lindenwood that they've grown accustomed to getting a lot of goal opportunities off of isn't a threat.
Try to lay that back off to Pemberton, who overran the ball. Now it's worked up ahead to Herrera. Straddling the stripe over on that far side. It's deflected off a Lion and out. Houston Christian now with 4 corners in this first half.
A heavy advantage their way as it relates to the corner kicks. They really haven't done too much with them so far. You've seen some of their biggest threats come in open play down that right side. But look to see something again on that second, third, even fourth opportunity off this cross to be a threat for HCU.
Now 8 of their last 9 matches, HCU have accumulated 4 or more corners. Pemberton takes this from the far flag.
Little physicality in the box there, body down.
And a clock stoppage motion by Alex Beeler as well, who's having quite the conversation there.
Not unlike the last time we had a corner kick. Things getting a bit chippy. And it's interesting, in our last 2 quarterfinal matchups on Sunday, we had some chippiness late in both of those matches. The chippiness coming right out of the blocks in the first half in this one.
Back-to-back matches in back-to-back seasons, these teams have played 1-1 draws. Pemberton hooks this, back post, headed back on, but it falls to Johnson. This is where Lindenwood's so good, a counterattack is canceled out by HCU.
I'll counter you just a bit, Jake. That's also where HCU is so good at breaking down that transition. And Ethan Blake coming at you. I don't care who you are. That's going to be a tough project to stop in the offensive third. But Ethan Blake shut down by 2-3 white jerseys in that transition opportunity. And now we're back to playing some neutral soccer.
Pressure collapsing in now on Lindenwood as Jill gets it back. He'll swing it forward to Caldwell. Blake dispossessed, and here comes Houston Christian now on a counter opportunity. It's Herrera out wide. Herrera, the cross, headed away by Mentor. Right now, Houston Christian just a step quicker to some of these loose balls, and that's causing Lindenwood issues. Lions trying to build out. That will be a whistle and a foul.
No better way to break up momentum than drawing a foul. Great opportunity for Lindenwood here to recalibrate, get their shape back. But it was interesting on that last possession for HCU. We've seen Thomas Wyke available down that right side so often. But because of the transition and because of earning back possession so quickly, he was still back doing his defensive responsibilities. So you have Herrera up on that right side trying to hold that width and trying to service the ball into the middle of the box.
Into the 35th minute, no score. This one up ahead, just out of the reach there of Onyege, and cleared away and out by HCU.
I think Onyege is going to want that one back. Just didn't quite read it. You never know. It could have been that slick turf. It could have been the weather conditions that played a factor in him not quite seeing that ball or how it was going to bounce as well. But he gets that ball and collects it in the channel. You have 2 black jerseys running right off of him to service a potential ball into.
More changes to be made for Lindenwood. Christos Filipou, the sophomore from Cyprus, on. This Lindenwood team enters this contest tied for the 5th longest active win streak in the country. Unbeaten in their last 7. They have not lost in over a month. October 10th, the last time Lindenwood fell. Their 10 wins, the most for a reclassifying team to Division I, as Herrera held, and that will be a whistle. Most wins for a reclassifying team since Cal Baptist out of the Western Athletic Conference won 11 back in 2021. That long pass goes into the parking lot, and it will be Enzo Gill with a goal kick.
A couple ties in that run for Lindenwood. So let's just play a little game of what if. Why not, Jake? We go to overtime. We're playing golden goal in the OVC. That is always nervy regardless of what team you are, and then penalties come into play. Lindenwood, great run of form right now. They will certainly want to avoid any opportunity to play a golden goal match, but you can't call it out of the question, especially with the way these two teams play and given the result these last 2 teams had when they met.
When we caught up with Chris Bursch, as this one thumped clear by HCU, when we caught up with Chris Bursch earlier in the week, he talked about this win streak and this great run of form, and he said momentum is a hard thing to contextualize. But it's undeniable this Lindenwood team has momentum on their side. And he said, hey, that's a tough thing to deal with for the opposition when you know you're going against a hot team.
It's tough. It's tougher to even deal with it when you realize that, again, as we mentioned at the top of our program, Lindenwood is not eligible to even qualify for a postseason tournament. So you talk about the potential of playing for an OVC championship. You could chalk that up as the top award that Lindenwood can win this year. They're even hungrier for that. And that's a credit to this team's discipline and this team's energy in terms of how they want to win for each other.
Blake comes out of a crowd with it. Now this swung to Bijou near side. Johnson cuts into the middle. Still Johnson now. Wants Connolly out wide. Wyke first to it, and Wyke no choice but to put a foot behind it and clear it away. Lindenwood now offensively, Daniel, starting to turn those screws a bit.
And it's interesting because they're starting to do it with a bit of possession. It's not necessarily the transition or winning the ball back quick, but it's about finding their rhythm, finding their shape, getting black jerseys into the box, and holding on to the ball.
This is Lindenwood. Trying to cut inside was Johnson. Dispossessed by Wyke. His clearance deflected and won back by LU. From distance, that one goes wide.
A split second, I thought that was up in the upper 90. A beautiful shot attempt for Lindenwood from Josh Frankham. Absolute bender, just wide of that far post. But hey, at this point, why not take a shot from distance if you've got it?
Houston Christian will make their first change of this match. Jira Oye Bamiji, the sophomore out of London, England, will come on. Leza works it ahead to Pemberton. Leza gets it back now. As Houston Christian swings it and changes the angle of the attack. Herrera can't take the touch in traffic, and it falls back to Perestrella.
That's something we did not see a lot of in the first 10 to 15 minutes was mistakes on the part of HCU as they build up in possession. But Lindenwood, whether it's them putting a bit more pressure on or the ball just not falling quite right for HCU, we're starting to see a shift in how these teams play. It really looks like first to make a mistake is going to leave this tournament and leave this game with a loss.
These are two very stingy defenses for Houston Christian. Just 2 combined goals conceded in the last 630 minutes. Only 4 since the start of OVC play. That's the second fewest in the league.
I sure hope we're not trying to hype up the neutral fan right now with, hey, we love defense. Hey, defense wins championships. These two teams predicated on that. And we talked to a couple of coaches, but more specifically Chris Bursch leading up to this matchup. Hey, goals dry up throughout the season. Defenses start to figure themselves out and their defensive discipline throughout the year, and it only gets harder to score. And despite the fact that we saw some goals from Lindenwood in the quarterfinal, this is a completely different test. No discredit to Western Illinois, a great team, but this is a tough HCU squad they're facing up against tonight.
Left off for Wyke. Tried to knife inside and has it knocked away by LU. Transitioning are the Lions. Their defense just as stingy, conceded only 4 goals across the last 630 minutes. They enter this tournament with the 17th best goal difference in the country.
And Jake, already another contrast for Lindenwood. You saw an opportunity to transition quickly after the dispossession, but instead they recycle the ball. They're allowing that HCU defense to come to them. It can get a bit nervy, but if you break that first line, you can start to build up an offense.
A near mistake. Calm under pressure was Luke Neely. And now this lifted forward, a foot race. Johnson can't get to it, and Leza pokes it out of play. It will be a throw-in for Lindenwood.
Perhaps the first time you saw even, if not odd, numbers in favor of Lindenwood in transition. We'll check the replay right now. Look at the ball over the top. It is 2v1, 2 black jerseys on 1. Great defensive effort by HCU, but Lindenwood starting to sniff an opportunity, and it started, ironically, with a bit of patience in possession.
Lindenwood have accumulated their highest quality chances in this moment, the final 5 minutes of each half. Long throw-in, bouncing around. Blake picks it up on the byline, and this worked back up top. Second ball served in, headed away, off the volley, it's deflected. A flubbed clearance for HCU, and Johnson picks it up.
We talk about phases, especially off of free kicks. 3 phases of that play, just then 3 opportunities for Lindenwood. I'm sure they would have loved that initial flick on to find the head of another line on the far post. Couldn't quite get it as cleanly, but it does set up another cross attempt into the box. For a defense, it is just so difficult to get the ball out of play and have to see it come right back in constantly.
Johnson nearly overruns the ball. He's hounded by Pemberton there. Able to work this back to Frankham.
And Lindenwood giving themselves their best HCU impersonation right there. Comfortable in the ball, taking on the pressure from the Houston-based program, and then looking for that killer ball over the top.
Up ahead, out of the reach of Ethan Blake, gloved down by Aitken.
Now, I would have liked to have seen a bit more pressure there because unlike that first opportunity we showed you on the replay, 2v1 opportunity, ball over the top, you get the numbers. That time, it was 4 white jerseys versus 3 black jerseys. You don't love the numbers, and certainly you don't love the space off the backside.
Wyke, no options going forward, swings it back to Zeman. Houston Christian again will swing it to this near channel. Long pass ahead in the vicinity and headed away. It does fall back to Pemberton. They were looking for Okarayi on that long pass ahead. Frankham steps up, wins it back for Lindenwood. Trying to roll this through, and it's off the back heel of Onyege.
Just unlucky Onyege. If he lets that ball roll right past him, he's one-on-one with his defender and could potentially put a great ball or a great shot on goal in the final third. Just unlucky to catch that back heel and flip it up and back into the midst of the HCU defense. But it really is interesting to talk so much about the contrasting styles of these two teams, and yet we're really seeing the same thing. Heavy possession, killer ball over the top, and then transitioning into some offensive attack. We're seeing it on both ends, not just HCU, but also Lindenwood, and you have seen a consistent shift on the part of Lindenwood that they've changed slowly throughout the game and almost adopted a very similar style to Houston.
Here comes Houston Christian again. Bijou heads it away. Pemberton straddles the stripe. Worsfold Gregg gets it back, threads it back through looking for Dunn. Has it knocked away. Worsfold Gregg to that back post, just out of the reach of Giwa McNeil. And that will be how half number 1 comes to a close. Evenly matched through 45 minutes of play, 0-0. Both teams had their chances, but Daniel, no one finding the breakthrough.
It is a true chess match at this point. Both teams, you could see some adjustments being made throughout the beginning of the first half into the middle and certainly at the end there. But Lindenwood starting to unlock what is a very impressive HCU defense, and Houston Christian finding their opportunities as they have so often this season down that right side.
We'll head to break on ESPN Plus. When we return, it's the halftime report from Ralph Cordy Stadium. 0-0 through 45 minutes of play.
The polar vortex is bringing a lot of snow.
Just be safe getting home.
This storm will be here through the night, as will I.
The December to Remember sales event. Get offers on select models.
Can we stop for food?
No, hay comida en la casa.
Can we stop for food?
No, hay comida en la casa. Vamos.
Hay comida en la casa. ¿Tienes hambre?
I think we need a bigger yard.
With our credit? This yard's fine. Go on.
Too long. But didn't I hear I found you?
Yeah. Look, Credit Karma can show us how to improve our credit for free. Then we can get a place with the bigger yard.
You hear that, Nora?
Yay.
From free credit scores to home loans and everything in between, Intuit Credit Karma. Download the app today.
NHL on ESPN Plus is back. Enjoy 1,000+ out-of-market games, exclusive matchups, marquee NHL events, and so much more. That's hockey on ESPN Plus.
This season, ESPN Plus has hundreds of games across 20 conferences. That's more action, more touchdowns, more college football.
Yeah, that's how I get by.
Streaming now.
With ESPN Plus, catch live NFL games. Plus,
let's go to the tape.
NFL shows from some of the biggest names in the game and exclusive expert analysis. ESPN Plus equals more football. Stream now.
Is bringing a lot of snow.
Good news for a white Christmas, but just be safe getting home.
This storm will be here through the night.
As will I.
The December to Remember sales event. Get offers on select models.
Can we stop for food?
No, hay comida en la casa.
Can we stop for food?
No, hay comida en la casa. Vamos.
Hay comida en la casa. ¿Tienes hambre?
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. With Skyrizi, feel symptom relief at 4 weeks. Many people were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 2 years.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Skyrizi.
I think we need a bigger yard.
With our credit? This yard's fine. Go long.
Too long. But didn't I hear I found you?
Yeah. Look, Credit Karma can show us how to improve our credit for free. Then we can get a place with the bigger yard.
You hear that, Nora?
Yay.
From free credit scores to home loans and everything in between, Intuit Credit Karma. Download the app today.
Formula One at its absolute finest. This is Formula One.
This season, ESPN Plus has hundreds of games across 20 conferences. That's more action, more touchdowns, more college football.
Yeah, that's how I get by.
Streaming now.
Back in Edwardsville, Illinois, it's 0-0 at the halftime break between Lindenwood and Houston Christian. Halftime rolls along here at Ralph Cordy Stadium in Edwardsville. Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at this year's All-OVC teams and others receiving postseason awards. You're watching the Ohio Valley Conference Men's Soccer Championship on ESPN+.
Hey man, ever since you tried Zesty Hidden Valley Ranch, I feel like you've been a bigger fan of that than the closers.
How could you say that? What?
Hidden Valley Ranch.
Oh, this is my flavor.
There's something powerful, freeing even, about starting again. No expectations, no race on the calendar, not losing sleep over that marathon I may never run. Today, it's just about me. Because happiness isn't about some finish line. It's about the journey.
Changing diapers doesn't have to be so boring. Right, little guy? Hello Bello makes diapers that make babying better. Say hello to seriously cute designs that have as much personality as they do. Snug and comfy fit, super soft and ultra absorbent. And a subscription that's as flexible as you. So you can stop searching for more and get delivery right to your door. Because happy booties make for happy babies. Happy parents too. Hello Bello. Let's change your diapers.
With ESPN Plus, catch live NFL games. Plus, let's go to the tape. NFL shows from some of the biggest names in the game and exclusive expert analysis. ESPN Plus equals more football. Stream now.
NHL on ESPN Plus is back. Enjoy 1,000+ out-of-market games and so much more. That's hockey on ESPN Plus.
Formula One at its absolute finest. This is Formula One.
NHL on ESPN Plus is back. Enjoy 1,000+ out-of-market games, exclusive matchups, marquee NHL events, and so much more. That's hockey on ESPN Plus.
Back in Edwardsville, Illinois, it's 0-0 deadlock between the 3-seed Lindenwood and the 2-seed Houston Christian in our first semifinal of the day. Along with Daniel Esteve, I'm Jake Griffith. Thanks for joining us for the halftime report. As is customary at the end of the season, awards handed out. First team OVC selections, and there are some familiar faces on this first team OVC team. We're seeing them out there today, including guys like Ethan Blake and Noe Bijou.
Plenty of familiar names to the fans watching today's matchup. So many, you count them on your screen. 5 all OVC first teamers in this matchup alone. We're going to get a handful in our second matchup of the day when SIUE hits their home turf. But you can also see in the type of players you're seeing, Noe Bijou, absolute foundation for the defense of Lindenwood. Same with Sam Zeman, who leads the entire conference, as we've talked about multiple times, in passes, which is crucial for a possession-based defensive team like HGU. It all plays into the fact that we've got ourselves a game that is knotted up at 0-0. That's been very exciting.
For the second team OVC selections, again, more familiar faces. Houston Christian getting guys like Alex Aitken and D'Alessandro Herrera on there as well, with Ethan Giel-McNeil.
And Enzo Gill also pretty active today, at least early on, and not necessarily in shot saving. Spaced a couple shots, none on goal just yet, even though one just slid past his left side. But he's always got to stay alert given the possession-based offense that HCU is constantly going to be throwing at him. But at this point, Jake, you're just looking at an all-OVC team, first and second team, that is full of the players you're seeing on the pitch right now.
As we continue to progress through these semifinals and we look at the newcomer team, you'll see more of these guys make impacts, like a player like a Morgan Worsfold-Gregg, just a freshman appearing on the first team, the newcomer team, and the freshman of the year.
And you're talking about his teammate as well. Theo Butterworth has been super active from that defensive back line as well, but it just cracks me up, John Gates, the senior, being on the all-newcomer team, given not only his familiarity to the St. Louis area, being a high school graduate of the area, but also his father having played here at SIUE. There's really nothing newcomer about John Gates, and he looks oh so comfortable in that final third.
Speaking of SIUE, 3 on the newcomer team for SIUE. Look at our individual awards. We saw the forward of the year, Michael Huss, in action on Sunday. Sam Zeman, the defender of the year, in action today.
I think fans would have wanted to see more from Michael Huss. Not anything on the score sheet, and certainly his team out of this tournament now. But you could see why he was forward of the year. I think we're also seeing why Sam Zeman is defender of the year. But it really isn't just his defensive prowess. It's also, again, that ability to pass from the back. That is the MO of this HCU team, and you've seen plenty of it so far.
More individual awards, including the freshman of the year, as we mentioned, Morgan Wolfsburg-Gregg, who we're seeing in action.
He's been so active, and yes, all that possession-based offense starts from that back line, but it funnels right through that midfield, and essentially they're going to work that ball right from that midfield and look to find Thomas White down that right side. We've already seen it happen a few times, and Morgan Wolfsburg-Gregg has already been at the focal point of that a few times today.
SIUE's Rob Jalai getting Goalkeeper of the Year awards as Cale Wasserman picks up Coach of the Year awards, his second consecutive. Congratulations to all those award winners. When we come back, we'll take a look at first half highlights and stats. You're watching the Ohio Valley Conference Men's Soccer Championship on ESPN+. The weather in the first half, but Daniel, how does rain change the way this pitch is played?
Well, Jake, I could tell you how it's going to affect the game. I could also tell you how it's going to affect our broadcast, because we had the windows closed for the first half, decided to open them up. We're starting to feel that cool air come into the booth, and we can also feel that almost spitting rain, and so it has such an important play on how the ball rolls off the pitch, especially a slick turf like we have out here at Ralph Cordy Stadium. You saw it in the lights. It is just a hazy, drizzly day here in Edwardsville, and it's certainly having its role to play in this matchup.
It's that time of year, the weather playing a factor the longer the season carries on. We were blessed on Sunday with unseasonably beautiful and warm weather. This is about more what this area expects this time of year.
Yeah, maybe HCU didn't want that first round bye. They just wanted a chance to play on what was a perfect day for college soccer, but they'll take a semifinal option to play some soccer, and they will certainly take a ticket to the men's OVC soccer championship if they can get the better of Lindenwood as we start this second half.
Alex Beeler sounds the whistle. We're back underway, and very quickly, here comes Lindenwood.
Lindenwood's going to be coming out hot. I have to imagine that they really liked what they did when they were able to win back possession possession quickly. But again, HCU can possess the ball well. They're very disciplined. It's going to take Lindenwood a huge effort on the part of the Lions to break down that possession-based offense that HCU wants to play with.
Lindenwood has scored 3 goals this season in the first 15 minutes of the second half. Houston Christian now settling into their defensive shape. It's up forward to Wyke on this near touchline. Couldn't get past that last defender. High press coming from Houston Christian. And a whistle sounds for a foul. As you touched on, Daniel, Houston Christian does get the first round bye by finishing as the 2 seed. Ryan Pratt told us earlier this week that you have to play a fine line between the idea of rust versus rest. He knew Lindenwood was hot coming in, but he says undoubtedly having the first round bye, it's a huge benefit. Big welcome to the team. More than anything, it allows the players to heal their minds.
And I don't want to discredit anything Coach says, but coming into a matchup with 3 matches without a win, sometimes you need to play some soccer to try to get that momentum back, and sometimes taking on a lower seed. Granted, all the OVC teams, as we've seen, Western Illinois would not have been an easy opponent. But this was, for context to that neutral viewer, a decision that the coaches made in the conference that the 2 pools of play, the winners of each pool would get the 1 and 2 seed. Lindenwood, again, with a better point total throughout the season, but ended up being that 3 seed with a first-round game to play.
Headed away by Mentor, it's worked forward to Peristrello. Against the grain comes Lindenwood, and again, Houston Christian able to break up a Lindenwood counterattack.
And as soon as they break it up, it's going to be another slow trot back up the field. I think Lindenwood is coming out with that same patience we saw early in the second half. They want to make sure, to your point, Jake, that HCU doesn't score early in this second half and completely break that momentum up like we've seen them do so often this season.
Zeman measured in this approach, volleys it out wide, looking to roll this in behind, and does. Up forward. Oyebamiji had it knocked away from him. Straddling the stripe again is Wyke and has his pocket picked by Connolly, but Connolly runs out of real estate.
You hate to see that. So much effort, so much work on that touchline, able to keep that ball in play, and then just a slight error sends that ball right back into the Huskies' possession.
This is Zeman again. Houston Christian looking to punch their ticket to a conference final for the first time since 2010. That year they lost the Atlantic Soccer Conference final to Adelphi in extra time.
And we've talked a lot during this entire process of getting these broadcasts together. Second year of the OVC tournament. People are still writing the history books for this young tournament. Why not enter your name into one of the early iterations?
HCU winless in their last 3 tournament appearances. This lifted forward, headed away by Connolly. Houston Christian did not qualify for last year's OVC championships. In 2019, falling to Air Force. In 2015, losing in penalties to Cal State Santa Barbara.
Oddly enough, I've not mentioned Mekhi Wright's name too much today. I mean, I know he's got his absolute mentality focused on Thomas Wyke and what he can do, but number 28 for Lindenwood, number 23 has been so active in the early parts of this season. It's interesting to not see his name too often early on in this one.
Up ahead, this ball falls through. An opportunity for Lindenwood goes curling wide of the far post. Jordan Matthews, a sub in at the halftime mark, gives Lindenwood an early opportunity.
And we saw Jordan have similar impact when he came into the game in that similar position that Mekhi Wright sometimes takes down that left side. I feel like he really could have taken an extra dribble or 2 on that attempt, decides to go for the shot from distance, and it's just wide down the left side of the keeper.
Matthews, the transfer from South Carolina, got the start, played 70 minutes in the first meeting between these sides earlier this year. Guided safely back to Alex Aitken. To the far touchline now, Houston Christian, no options
You'll see him entering your screen at some point, but that similar figure, Thomas White, just hugging that right side. Lindenwood jersey is just completely focused on the ball right now, and you'll see him just meandering around that right side of the touchline, almost standing in the same place.
Butterworth goes forward, finding Zeman. Now in the middle, tries to dance past one defender is Okarayi, who goes down and draws a foul. First team selection this year is Okarayi.
It'll be interesting to see if HCU decides to set up for a set piece here, if they want to play quickly. It looks like they're getting bodies forward. Again, a lot of the times it's about creating chaos in the box. So that initial touch, sure, you can put it on net, but it's about that second and third and fourth opportunities we've echoed so much in this first half.
Winds gusting upwards of 16 miles an hour. How does that influence this set piece?
I think you probably want to keep that ball underneath that wind, but if you do put it up, it's going to be a tough decision for Mr. Gill on if he needs to come out and play that ball. Watch the second here.
Second ball volleyed in toward goal. Breakthrough found from Houston Christian. The Huskies are on the board. Who else but Sam Zeman, our player to watch in the pre-match open, punches Houston Christian through. It's 1-0 Huskies.
The All-OVC Defender of the Year, making an impact on the offensive end, perhaps calling him, Ryan Pratt, the head coach, a prophet. He says that we create offense with our defense. You see it on the board with the first goal of the day. And, Jake, I always felt like I sounded like a broken record, but you always have to see in these set-piece opportunities, it is the second opportunity, third opportunity, and in this case, checking the replay out, initial ball played to the far post, which is so characteristic of this HCU offense, slotted right back into the middle, and there is your Defender of the Year there to slot it in on the offensive end.
Sam Zeman, his third goal of 2024. Not a better time to find it. 1-0 HCU at the restart.
Now this is where that possession-based offense really starts to play its part, because the frustration Lindenwood is going to feel with their limited opportunities is only going to grow as the clock continues to tick towards 0.
Cleared out by HCU. Lindenwood will have a throw in on this near touchline. For HCU, it's just their second goal scored within the first 15 minutes of the second half all season long. Throw bouncing around inside the penalty area on the doorstep and cleared off the line. Worsfold Greg keeps Houston Christian in front.
That third opportunity for Lindenwood off the set piece, paving an opportunity about as good an opportunity as you can expect. And for the second time in the last 35 seconds, we talk about the freshman, Morgan Worsfold Gregg. He helped set up that goal on the offensive end for HCU, and now a crucial goal line clearance keeps this score at 1-0 in favor of the Huskies. I don't know if it's the weather, Jake, but he must feel right at home, the London, England native, in the chilly, wet weather that we've got in Edwardsville, because he has had 2 plays that have been crucial for his team in the last 2 minutes.
Plays like that exemplify why Worsfold Gregg is the freshman of the year in this conference, keeping HCU in front with the goal line clearance.
And it's so interesting talking about, like we mentioned in the first half, coming into this one, 2 contrasting styles, but when teams have gotten their opportunities, when Lindenwood has had their opportunities, and when HCU has had their opportunities, they've come in very similar fashion, off of set pieces, off of the second phase of set pieces, and we have ourselves a very entertaining ball game at 1-0.
Things starting to open up, and now a whistle for a handball, and this will be more. Cleared away by Cameron Caldwell after the whistle, and Caldwell represents our first booking of the afternoon.
Very similar spot to where we had this first goal for HCU. I posed the question, were we going to see a quick ball played out, or were we going to see a set piece? I think I can tell you I know the answer this time around.
It's Sam Zeman, the senior from the Netherlands, breaking the scoreless deadlock. And that has been the difference. If you're just joining us, along with Daniel Esteve, I'm Jake Griffith. A set-piece opportunity now for Houston Christian.
very similar setup here, Jake. All the analytics point to HCU loving to put that initial ball toward the back post, and that's where you see the majority of the jerseys. 3 white jerseys down that far 18-yard box position.
Back underway. It's Wyke. Headed back into the penalty area. On the byline, worked back to the top. Bamiji did a good job to keep it in the lines of play, but here comes Lindenwood now, up ahead to Peristrello. Overlapping run from Matthews. Incredible defense on the outside from the forward Ryan Okarayi, winning that back, knocking it off of Lindenwood, and it's a throw one by HCU.
And what a selfless play by Okarayi. You mentioned it, the forward working his way back to shut down that offensive transition from Lindenwood. And they had numbers. If he breaks away down that left side, you've got 2 or 3 black jerseys sprinting down the right side looking for an opportunity. Just a great defensive effort from the Husky.
Ryan Pratt saying their best forwards are defenders. Conversely, he says, it starts defensively with their forwards. They're some of the best defenders on the team, and you see that for Ryan Okarayi.
Coach Pratt was just all about defense, and why wouldn't he be? Top to bottom, this team is so defensively disciplined, and it's been the foundation of everything successful that they've done so far this year, and you really don't see it play out to the average viewer too often, but when you see a defender score, you see it right up in center.
Pemberton runs that down, wins a throw-in for Houston Christian. And this a look back at that tackle just moments ago. Pemberton will not be denied.
Perhaps maybe got away with a little bit of a nick down that right side, but they'll take it. We're back into possession for HCU, and we're back to playing some soccer.
In that first half, it did feel like Lindenwood were just a step quicker to some of those loose balls. Right now, though, the script has flipped in half two. Houston Christian does have a step quicker to a lot of balls.
And I almost want to break up each half into halves, because that first half of the first half was very similar to what we're seeing now for Lindenwood. They were a bit more hesitant, having a hard time getting back on the ball, and you started to see that momentum shift for Lindenwood to what we're used to seeing, winning the ball back, getting offense in transition. We're starting to see HCU completely pull that momentum back right now, breaking through this Lions defense with ease.
Brilliant pass up ahead to Herrera, looking to roll this in behind. Okarayi fighting through, and it's Jill lunging on top of it.
I really don't mind the attempt. The through ball could have been beautiful, but you saw 2 black jerseys marking the Husky forward when Thomas Wyke wide open down that right side. Check out the replay. A good ball to slide it right through. Just a difficult situation to bring that keeper in. You send that ball out wide like we've seen so often, and you open up a few opportunities for HCU by allowing white jerseys to get forward and open up that pitch just a little bit.
43 through passes completed during league play for HCU. That's the 4th most out of any OVC team. Lindenwood with the most. Houston Christian giving the Lions a bit of their own medicine. It is across this near touchline, and Connolly will have a throw in as change of possession will occur.
This is such a crucial part of this matchup, too. Again, we talked about the formations and the way these two teams like to attack each other. We could talk about that all day long, but on a day like today, in tournament time, it's going to come down to the discipline of the team and who's going to make less mistakes.
Peristrello intercepted the clearance and is knocked off his feet. Counter-attacking are the Huskies. Herrera opting to slow up, and there's that patience Ryan Pratt talks about. Pick your spots going forward. No options. They didn't fling it ahead. He held up.
You almost feel like you're getting bamboozled. Quick turnover, you're thinking, we're going to get in transition, we're going to get an opportunity. No, HCU is so comfortable recycling this ball. It feels like to the neutral viewer that Lindenwood is just getting more time to find their shape. But what HCU wants to do is they want to invite that pressure, open up some spaces, and if they beat that initial pressure, well, then they've got so much opportunity in transition.
Top side of the attack to Pemberton. Now left off for Zeman. The hero so far for Houston Christian in the 52nd minute.
Off your screen, Thomas Wyke has his arms in the air as if to say, guys, nobody is marking me. Send a ball across this field. I've got space for ages.
Here's a turnover. Lindenwood countering now. Rolled out wide to Matthews, and Matthews wins a free kick, and this will be more. Zeman goes into the book And this will be a free kick in quite the inviting position.
And that is crucial for a number of reasons. I think the position for this free kick is dangerous. You can attack it in so many different ways. You are certainly in a shooting area, but I want to check this replay out. Who else to get that initial yellow card than your defender of the year and your goal scorer on the day? It's Sam Zeman, who goes into the books. Mentally, Jake, that can affect the defender so much, especially when you're playing a high-energy offense like Lindenwood. It's going to be on his mind the rest of the way. Let's check that foul out one more time. Great offense in transition in favor of Lindenwood. And how about the cheeky touch to avoid the initial slide? Great play by Lindenwood. We'll see what they can do with the free kick.
7 fouls on Houston Christian to just Lindenwood's 2. It's been a relatively mistake-free day in that category for the Lions, who look to find the equalizer. Daniel, how would you play this if you're Lindenwood?
I think you got to take a shot at it, don't you? I mean, you've got 3 black jerseys over the ball, and what you do is all you have to do as a shot taker is get the ball on frame. If you can force a save, that deflection back into the box can create another opportunity. You can get jerseys back. But from this spot, I just know all those players are licking their chops for a chance to put this ball on net.
Importantly for Lindenwood, as they make changes, John Gates back on the pitch now, as is Joseph Palyashawja, who had the assist on the match winner against Western Illinois.
A team huddle, just deciphering who's going to take this kick, how they're going to approach it. We had an opportunity like this in the quarterfinal, and it was Ethan Blake who took a shot on goal just over the net. A good attempt for sure. That one a little bit further out. This one is going to be tough simply because you got to get the ball over that wall. Look for a redirection right off the initial touch too.
Ethan Blake set to take this. Blake curls it right at Aitken, who makes the stop.
And so impressive on the part of Aitken for a number of reasons. As we look at this replay one more time, that is a hard hit ball right at his gloves. Holding on to it is going to be a difficult thing in any weather conditions, but given the speed at which that ball was kicked, to be able to hold on to that and not allow for a second phase of play for Lindenwood, so impressive by the HCU keeper. We'll have to check that replay out here in just a second.
Worked over to Connolly now. Back he goes to Caldwell, carrying a yellow in this match. Lions cycle this one over to Bijou. Collapsing in is Houston Christian. It's won back by Oyebamiji. A takeaway here for Lindenwood. Counter-attacking are the Lions. Up ahead to Connolly. Trying to roll this through, was looking for Blake. That pass telegraphed and taken away.
I love the idea. I love the pressure Lindenwood's coming out with. We talk about momentum shifts. They can come in so many different ways. A lot of the times earning a foul in a dangerous area can completely flip that momentum, even if it doesn't work as nearly as you'd like to see.
Long pass just out of the reach on that far side. And here's a look at that replay again from Ethan Blake's drive right at Alex Aitken. Right idea, but just the finish not there.
Right idea, even from a contact perspective. You want to get a forward spin on it, and you want to land it on the turf before it gets to the keeper. Looking to get that spin off the wet turf. If you can get it and a ball deflects off a shoulder or takes a funny bounce, then you've got 4 or 5 black jerseys ready to slot that back in off the rebound.
Daniel, how about this Lindenwood attack? They've really found their footing here in this second half. Already 3 second-half shots.
Which is so difficult to do. You want to have a response as soon as you let up a goal, but because of the way HCU plays in possession, it's easy to lose your discipline, and it's easy to lose that edge you may be playing with. Lindenwood, they haven't been worried about that one bit. They've got their energy right back, and they've been on the attack since that goal hit the back of their own net.
Lions +3 in the shots category and in the shots on target. This Houston Christian defense has been good at limiting shots. They averaged the fewest against 6.3 during OVC play. Now here comes Lindenwood and Ethan Blake. To Connolly in the middle. Pushed out wide. Palyashawja looking to roll this to the byline, and just miscommunication there it's a goal kick.
And you nailed it, Jake. Just miscommunication. He was calling for that ball to slide in. He looks for the outside of the boot. It's really difficult to make that pass in any case, but again, with how slick this turf is, you really have to get the weight of that ball perfectly, but if you've got no runners there, then that ball is irrelevant. But I do like the way Lindenwood is attacking the wide spaces. They're so compact on the Husky defense that sometimes you got to suck them into the middle and send it out wide to give yourself some time and options in space.
Lifted ahead, a foot race. Oyebamiji through a crowd, guides it toward Jill, who picks it up and ends the danger.
A little nervy there for a second, 3-on-1, and yet the white jersey is the one that prevails, at least for a second. You got to have your head on a swivel if you're Enzo Jill, and he certainly did on that play.
Long pass out of the reach of Ethan Blake. It's picked up by Wyke. Cross stood up by Herrera and headed away by Mentor.
A little uncharacteristic of HCU in the last couple possessions. Looking for that long ball. I understand Lindenwood is going to start pressuring them just a bit more, but I really like the way they've been playing a possession-based offense, sucking that Lindenwood defense out. Looks like they're getting away from that patience that we've grown accustomed to seeing throughout this matchup.
Back onto the pitch, Ethan Giwa McNeil, his 5 goals and 4 assists, second best on the team. Also joining him, Ricardo Garcia for the first time. Connolly makes contact with the head off the throw, and it's deflected back to Enzo Jill. These types of matches, 1-goal matches, Lindenwood has been so good in. Undefeated this year, 6-0-0. They've won 9 of their last 10 1-goal matches. You have to go all the way back to the midway point of last year to find the last time Lindenwood lost a match decided by a goal. Blake racing up this near channel. Carries it wide now. Blake tries to play this central and just runs out of real estate.
Just could not handle that touch. He beats him to the outside, but just a bit too heavy on that initial touch. He's got speed, but not that much speed. It is curious, HCU, we talk about the chess match in the first half and how these teams have been trying to counter each other. The 4-4-2, that initial shape that you saw from HCU, it looks like out of possession. They're actually running a 5-3-2, pulling a bit of a hybrid position on that left wing side to try to nullify those wide spaces for Lindenwood.
Lions already back on it off the goal clearance. Caldwell switches it. Bijou can't take the touch. And Makai Wright can't pick up the pieces before it sails out. Another uncharacteristic mistake for Lindenwood.
And it's interesting, I just mentioned that 5-back. It's Rio Pemberton, number 9. He just jumped that ball as they try to switch the pitch of play, coming back. But when the ball cycles down to the far side of the field away from Pemberton, you'll see him slot back into that back line of 5. Really unique positioning for HCU. You'll see him push forward in the offense, but they're really trying to nullify those wide spaces, giving him the freedom to decide if he's going to join that back line deep in a defensive possession or play up and try to get a steal.
Up ahead to Herrera. Now Wyke on this near touchline. Herrera rolls it forward. Giwa McNeil to the byline. Tries to play it centrally, and it's cut out by Lindenwood. Takes a fortuitous bounce, though, for the Lions. It's simply a throw for Houston Christian.
Jermaine Mentor just so composed defensively there. Difficult task to be able to stop that HCU offense, but great defense there.
Back inside. Giwa McNeil's shot is deflected. A goal kick awarded. Houston Christian can't believe it. They thought that was a corner for sure.
Not thrilled, but certainly one of the few opportunities we've seen HCU get the ball controlled in the box. We've seen a bunch of great crosses into the box, but nothing where they can hold up play quite like that.
Up ahead, lead pass looking for Gates. Just out of his reach, and it's headed out by Houston Christian. Black shirts will come forward for Lindenwood's first corner.
Wouldn't you know it, a corner kick for Lindenwood. It's like seeing a unicorn at this point, Jake, but we finally got one deep into the second half. 24 minutes left to go in this ballgame. This is a huge opportunity for Lindenwood, and the broken record will come back. I'll say it once again. Check out the second phase of this corner kick, not necessarily that initial contact made off the kick.
The OVC first team selection, Ethan Blake. Lindenwood's talisman will take this.
Just one black jersey inside the halfway line. So many black jerseys forward. I count 7 in the box, 1 just outside the box.
Blake, out-swinging ball, overhits that. Now Connolly locked in a battle. Can't get past Wyke, and it's a Houston Christian throw.
Disappointing for Lindenwood. I am sure of it. Either miscommunication or a poorly placed ball. That ball going to the back post. Not a soul home in black on that back post. You're looking for that redirection to the front if it's supposed to go to the back, or you're looking for a better ball to the near post or mid post.
Lindenwood now will have a throw in on this near touch line. Isaac Johnson, the Central Methodist transfer, comes forward. He's the one who can toss these long throws in and really confuse a defense. There's another, and it's headed away by Houston Christian.
Yeah, we talk about the limited opportunities in corners, but Lindenwood has had plenty of opportunities on this long throw, too, in the last 10 seconds now. We'll see if they can produce something a bit better this time around.
Consecutive throws coming for the Lions. Johnson, the long toss toward the 6, headed away again by HCU, but a foul behind, and it will be a free kick.
HCU fans, take a big breather. You guys are fine. And now HCU is going to look to establish that possession-based offense we've grown accustomed to. It really felt like they were getting away from it in this second half since they scored their goal. This is a good opportunity. Like we talk about, momentum can shift in a lot of different ways. Earning a foul is a big way to pull some momentum back your way, gather your psyche, and get back to doing what you do best.
Daniel, how about this Houston Christian defense? Bend but don't break today for the Huskies.
It certainly has been the case, and that's one of the few things that we expected to see today that we've seen play out consistently. Of course, we have seen a lot of possession on the part of the HCU offense, which we knew coming into that we were going to see that. We've seen Lindenwood play their transition-based offense, but in terms of that HCU defense, that has been a cornerstone from the third game of the season on when they switched to that 4-4-2 that Coach Pratt talked about. As soon as that happened, that's been their staple the rest of the season, and it's been no different today.
Perestrello whistled for the foul. HCU will have a free kick right at the midfield line. Chris Bursch telling us earlier this week that the longer these games stay 0-0, any team can win off of that. Houston Christian trying to prove that true in their most recent win against SIUE back on the 20th of October. All they needed was one.
Absolutely, and that's been the case for a lot of their matchups. Again, they haven't they haven't gotten a win in their last 3 matches, but every game it seems like this season has gone right down to the wire, including the last time these two teams met in a 1-1 draw. This game is far from over. Over 21 minutes left to be played. Lindenwood leads the OVC in touches in the box. They're going to get their opportunities when they come. It's just a matter of if they'll be able to execute and take them when they do.
Lindenwood scored first in the only meeting this regular season between these sides. It was a 75th minute equalizer from Houston Christian that put that match on level terms, and these teams shared the points back in October. A look at Ryan Pratt, 8th season as the head coach at Houston Christian, former Jacksonville head coach, a UAB alumnus. That ball thumped out of play.
That one almost coming up to us in the box. Jake was ready for that initial touch. I could see it.
Hey, I was a goalie in lacrosse. I've got some hands, all right?
I believe it. 110%. You make a great point, though, about the last time these two teams met. It is a very different ball game when the team that possesses the ball more has that 1-0 lead. They're very comfortable in that position, which is why it's been so interesting to see HCU almost go away from that since they've scored their goal. But I'll look to see them get back to their principles here as the game moves forward.
Cameron Caldwell down behind the play, and play has been stopped for the training staff to come out on the pitch and check on Caldwell. One thing all these coaches have talked with us this week leading up to this tournament is about the changing landscape, the changing nature of the sport of college soccer. Daniel, we've heard a lot of talk recently about the 21st century model, the idea of moving college soccer to a year-round slate. But another thing that these coaches talked about, parity. There's been a lot of parity this year. Just recently, as recently as 3 days ago, Virginia, upsetting number 9 Pitt in the ACC tournament. St. Louis just up the road knocking off number 20 UMass. Do you feel like this is as wide open of a college season as we've seen?
I love the parity conversation because when we're talking about the changing landscape, NIL in general you have that conversation across the entire collegiate sports landscape, but soccer, even beyond that, is a bit more unique given the relationship that youth players, youth talent have with training academies, clubs, colleges. Even if you look at the MLS versus the European models, they're having conversations on how they can adjust their schedules to be more in sync with the rest of the global calendar. College soccer, though, will always have its home, and the OVC Championships is a great example of that top-to-bottom fun soccer anywhere you look.
Worked back forward to Blake for Lindenwood as we're back underway. Lions seeking the equalizer here in this second half. Ball swung in, punched away by Aitken. A Lion is down inside the penalty area, but we play on. Now this match will come to a stop. Joseph Palyashawja, the player down for Lindenwood, grabbing the head. Aitken came out with the forceful punch. That's one of those plays in soccer. Not malicious, it's just unavoidable.
It's a brave play on the part of the goalkeeper, that's for sure. We'll take another look at this. Brave to come out and play that ball. Even more impressive to get a glove to that ball, but always difficult when you see a collision like that in any sport, let alone soccer, when you know that that player is only looking at that ball, he's not seeing that keeper coming out to play it.
The good sign for Lindenwood is that Palyashawja is back to his feet.
When you look at that possession as a whole, it really was one of those rare opportunities where you saw Lindenwood's offense take shape. They love to get bodies in the box, and we see that again in their league-leading penalty box touches, but it typically starts from that wing position. John Gates assumes that position a lot down the right side because of how good he is with the ball at his feet. He can create that space and deliver a ball inside, or you see him collect the ball inside and deliver that second phase. We finally saw that with Lindenwood there. They got the ball in the wide space with numbers in the box, and they were able to put a dangerous ball in there. Just a great play on the part of HCU's goalie.
Play resumes off the drop ball, and we're back underway. Palyashawja will rejoin his team after being checked for the injury. Glancing header falls wide from HCU to Mackay Wright. Wright finds Blake on the flank. His cross deflected out. It will be a corner won by Lindenwood.
Ethan Blake playing so much wider than we're accustomed to seeing, but that's where he's finding his space. And when you have a friend like Mackay Wright running with you down that side, two of the most dangerous players across the OVC, earns them another corner kick.
As you've mentioned, it's not about the first ball, it's the second ball. Lindenwood has scored 6 goals this season after corners. On that second ball, it's their second of this match.
And our viewers are going to get so tired of me saying that, but we've seen it pay dividends for HCU already with their first goal, and we'll see if it pays off for Lindenwood right here.
Blake takes this. Lifted in the middle, but the whistle sounds.
We may need to see a replay right there. So many bodies right on top of the goalkeeper, something that's become so accustomed to some of the top leagues in the entire world. All you're trying to do is create chaos. If you can put the ball on frame, then anything can happen. You're almost looking at what we call a goal olimpico there, a goal directly from a corner kick, and a part of that is because the goalie doesn't know if he can come out and play that ball or not. A lot of times you're trying to get that ball either on frame or just in the mix, and it completely isolates the players that are on the edge of the box hoping to score on that second phase.
Less than 20 minutes to go till full time. Lindenwood's offense has really found its footing down the stretch. Daniel, what's changed for the Lions?
Honestly, it's that momentum that they picked up off the stoppages. I just feel like they've been able to maintain their possession. They're a bit more patient, but still playing with that energy you're used to seeing. And I think most importantly, they're finally finding the wide spaces. That's where so much of this offense is built. They get the ball to the wide spaces, allow players to get forward, and allow play to develop.
Jill comes off his line. The flag comes up. And Houston Christian, we're offside.
Right idea, just could not hold that initial run. Offside flag goes up almost immediately. But regardless, Enzo Jill on the spot, able to punch that out.
Third time today Houston Christian have been whistled for offside. Dangerous pass back. Had Okarayi in the vicinity, and now Giwa McNeil applying pressure.
Bit of a nervy moment there for Lindenwood.
Nudged out wide and lifted forward into the middle. Makai Wright coming forward, and that forces a short clearance from Wyke. This is Herrera with the touch.
Very impressive defensive play there to be able to slot that ball out of danger but also keep it in. Just unfortunate for HCU to give that ball right back to Lindenwood.
Consecutive throws coming for the Lions now.
And here we go again. Play number 1, you might as well call it. They're going for the long throw.
Isaac Johnson, the senior transfer from Central Methodist, will take this.
He's got the assist from his coaching staff too, getting the towel to dry that ball off.
This drizzle has been consistent through this second half. Johnson, long throw, lot of crowd in front. Gates picks up the pieces.
HCU bringing the double on John Gates. No surprise there, but it opens up the cross chance.
Glove down by Aitken off the second ball served in. Alex Aitken, whether it saves or grabs like that, he has been one of the heroes for HCU.
He's been busy, but then again, we talk about playing back to front for this HCU team. Coach constantly talking about how his defense is the catalyst for all their success. You can't talk about the defense without talking about the goalkeeper.
Headed on and out by Lindenwood. It will be a throw for HCU.
And this is the part of the game, 16 minutes left to go, where you're really starting to think, okay, when do we start to throw all our bodies forward? HCU can completely expose a Lindenwood offense if Lindenwood starts to overcommit, but HCU has to remain disciplined. That is not a good example.
Well, whistle sounds and a foul and a card as well.
So this is where things start to really develop. Energy is only going to pick up, and HCU has the skill set and the fundamentals to be able to break down and nullify something like that. But it takes a lot of discipline, especially with how impressive Lindenwood and how high energy Lindenwood is. That turnover is a big example of just how Lindenwood can get you. And they can also get you, Jake, off the set piece.
Ethan Blake over top of it for Lindenwood. Daniel, how do you play this if you're the Lions?
I am really flirting with that left side right now. It looks like John Gates is isolated. If they slot a ball in, they could potentially get him in a one-on-one situation, but they're probably going to go back post. Oh, they go the other way.
Lifted in by Peristrello, in the thick of it, and flicked clear by HCU.
Looked like something off the training ground, something they've been working on in case they needed it, but here they go with those second and third phases, but now you've got transition for HCU.
Ground cross cut out.
Oh,
what
well
a challenge
done
there. That is a brilliant challenge to win it back for Lindenwood. To the byline and muscled off the ball.
Oh, you just hope you reward yourself after a great defensive play like that, but they've got it back.
Here's another one, taken away by Frankham.
Unbelievable play. This is where you can get exposed. Once you start putting bodies forward, you never know how much the backside is going to open up. Those are opportunities for HCU, so it's most important that those midfielders or even those forwards on the initial press are able to disrupt that transition. And Lindenwood took it a step further, getting themselves a corner kick in the process.
Third corner of the half for the Lions. Had none at the halftime break.
You can start to feel it. There's a shift in Lindenwood's favor right now.
They short the corner. Top of the attack to Frankham. Coated well defensively by HCU. Read it all the way, and now a counter-attacking opportunity. Hoofed forward into an empty space. Jill has to clear it away.
Jill making that look so much easier than it actually is. We've talked so much about the weather conditions. The way that ball with how much spin was on it could potentially skip. Tough to read, great clearance, but I'm really disappointed with Lindenwood's attempt off the corner kick. It looked like they had an opportunity to go to the top of the box and either slot a ball on net or slot a ball to the back post, and it looked like that initial ball was just a bit too wide.
Lindenwood will make another change. Kafedzik, the freshman from St. Louis, is on. Houston Christian counters with Ron Pressler, a freshman.
And it feels like, Jake, as this game starts to intensify on the pitch, the weather is also following suit. I can feel a little bit of that mist start to pour into our press box. We're going to leave these windows open, though, because we want to get stuck in with these guys. We're having a great time.
Back underway. Lindenwood have been a second-half team during league play. 14 second-half goals, seeking their 15th to pull back level. Cleared away by Houston Christian. Flag comes up, and Giwa McNeil offside. A late whistle, and finally there it is.
A late whistle, but that flag was up for quite some time. I'm curious why it took him so long to make that initial call, but Lindenwood doesn't care. They're going to be pretty happy with the result either way.
Ryan Pratt shaking his head on the Houston Christian touch lines. Luke Neely, the sophomore, swings it back into the middle to Mentor. A bit of a tactical shift here for Houston Christian in the dying minutes of this contest. Starting to see, at times, 5 across the back.
And we saw this halfway through the second half. Shortly after they got their initial goal, we talked about it a bit on screen, but it's interesting because 1 or 2 of those players on that back line have the liberty to step up, to intercept a pass if they need to, but once they get into that disciplined shape, it looks like 5 across the back, 3 in the midfield, and 2 pressers up top.
Quickly breaking out is Houston Christian. Up ahead, it's Wyke. His shot deflected, and it falls to Pemberton.
Has Wyke been busy or what? My goodness, exhausting to watch a guy like that play, and we've been talking about that with Makai Wright on the other side of the ball so often. It's rare that he gets overshadowed or overshined when you talk about the effort that he plays up and down the pitch, but my goodness, has Thomas Wyke been impressive all day long.
How about this for a build-up for Houston Christian? Wyke takes it to the one end line, and it's worked all the way back now to the other side to Sam Zeman. This is what Ryan Pratt talked about all week, the patience of this Houston Christian team and how difficult that is for teams to deal with.
And let's be clear, they'd be doing that if this was 0-0. They would be doing this from the start of the game to the end of the game. This is how they want to play, and this is how they open teams up. It just so happens that in this instant, they've got the clock on their side too, and they're very happy with seeing that clock tick towards 0 with possession on their feet.
Ryan Pratt said earlier this week, it's so hard to break teams down in college
great
soccer
touch.
because they do this right here. In is Houston Christian. Heading to the byline, and it's a corner won by HCU.
So impressive on that touch. We talk a lot about how they like to play down the right side with Thomas Wyke. They've been doing that so often, but they also love to create overloads down the left side. And when you're so focused on that isolated winger on the right in Wyke, you forget about the left side, and a little 1-2 combination completely opens up that Lindenwood defense, and you get yourself a very dangerous opportunity off the corner kick because, as we've mentioned, their defense is very much part of their offense.
First corner of the second half for Houston Christian. Their 5th overall. Pemberton will take this as the rain continues to trickle down. In swinging ball, back post headed away, flicked back on, in the thick of it, Houston Christian has doubled the advantage. Ethan Giwa McNeil surely seals HCU's spot in the OVC championship.
Almost exactly what we saw off their initial set piece that got them their first goal. It's a great ball right off the top, a second ball into the middle of the box, and a redirect into the back of the net. It is the phase of a set piece that is crucial for a team, not necessarily the initial set piece. HCU putting that to a T in both of their goal-scoring opportunities, and it has truly been the difference in how they've executed on set pieces in comparison to their opponents in Lindenwood. It's 2-0 at Rife Cody Stadium.
The Coastal Carolina transfer, Ethan Giwa McNeil, his 6th.
And we talk about advanced analytics. And Jake, we were combing through these leading up into this one. That's about as clean as you can get. Most of their corner kicks are going to that back post. That has been a trend you have seen all season long. In this case, they send it right back over to the near post. And who's isolated but the goal scorer in Giwa McNeil? And he has completely opened this game up and potentially punched their ticket to the OVC Men's Soccer Championship game.
It's their 5th goal off a set piece this year for Houston Christian. Ethan Giwa McNeil, the hero for the Huskies.
Perhaps a more important stat for you, Jake. It's their 2nd goal off a set piece today, and that's all it takes, especially with a team that plays so good in possession and in play like Lindenwood. You beat them when the dead ball opportunities come, and they've taken advantage of it.
Worked up ahead. This is Giwa McNeil. And now flung forward. Giwa McNeil dancing through defenders. There is a whistle, and now a clock stoppage motioned for. This will be a card.
And expect more opportunities for HCU as they progress, but they're going to be content with recycling that possession. There is going to be space in transition for them if they want to take it, because Lindenwood, with less than 10 minutes to go in this one, have to put bodies forward.
Noe Bijou goes into the book. That's the 2nd Lion carrying a yellow. You have to go all the way back a calendar month ago to find the last time Houston Christian scored multiple goals in a game, a 3-0 win at Eastern Illinois.
They could make it 3. Another set-piece opportunity, and what has been the trend? A ball to the back post, a redirection to the middle post, and anything can happen. I expect nothing different here.
Pemberton has this. Lifted to this back post, headed toward goal but wide.
It looked like it actually skipped off the front of his forehead. He was going for that redirection to the near post, but a rare opportunity to get a shot on goal off the initial ball just goes begging down the left side of the keeper's hand.
Lead pass up ahead, trying to find Blake. Couldn't take the touch through traffic. Buttersworth is down behind the play and still down. Clock stoppage whistled for. Just about 9 minutes to go before Houston Christian can officially celebrate. You can still feel the nerves on the HCU sideline from up here.
And absolutely you can, but this game is in their hands at this point, 2-0. And I do want to mention, we talk about the points total throughout the regular season. Lindenwood was, on points, the 2nd best team in this conference. So despite those seedings, Houston Christian was below Lindenwood in the overall regular season table. You could make an argument that they were the underdogs coming in, given the fact that they hadn't gotten a win in the last 3, and Lindenwood hadn't lost in their last 7. So to see a scoreline like this just speaks to the parity that you talked about in college soccer right now.
Have to steer this one back to Alex Aitken, does Houston Christian, and Aitken lifts it away from danger. One back by the Lions. Their counterattack has been stifled today by this HCU defense. Zeman clears it away.
And aside from a little spell in the second half, Lindenwood really hasn't been able to develop anything in possession either. Yes, they're so dangerous at winning the ball back and attacking quickly, but they can't attack the wide spaces sometimes like they can if they can recycle it back out wide here.
Blake leaves it off for Frankham, and they do just that. Flung to the outside.
Oh, great defense.
Cut out again by Houston Christian. They have kept feet active in the passing lanes.
I like the formula, though, from Lindenwood. If they can get the ball centrally, suck in those jerseys in white, and then feed the ball outside, giving more time for the black jerseys to get into the box, they can start to get into the offense that you'd like to see, and certainly they would like to see.
Headed on toward goal, but wide, and Aitken waves everyone off. Finally picking it up and ending the danger. That will be a whistle, and this will be another booking. Lindenwood starting to come apart at the seams, not staying disciplined like what we're used to seeing from them.
Well, Jake, I think we're going to call that the dark arts. The first time we get to mention it today. Certainly something, I think it's a bit harsh for Ethan Blake, maybe a bit of frustration there as he makes that initial press to the keeper. but the keeper waiting to pick up the ball while his defenseman is holding off a defender, boxing out, if you will. He gets thrown to the ground and he gets a card. You shave off at least 15 to 20 seconds off there, and at this point, every second counts.
Houston Christian, the blocked shot minutes ago is what set up the foul and now the free kick. During the regular season, the fewest blocked shots of any team in the Ohio Valley Conference, but today they have 5 of them and no better time than what we just saw.
Well, the reality is they're not playing Lindenwood every day, and Lindenwood most touches in the box of any team in the OVC, so they're going to force you to block some shots. It's no discredit of HCU's defense. If anything, it shows just how impressive HCU's defense has been, not allowing teams to get shots off against them.
Lions will have a free kick, but they have to move quickly with it. Kafedzik gets play back underway. Huskies come up with it, trying to break out now. Here comes Houston Christian. My goodness.
Great ball.
A brilliant ball. Played central. Cleared away by Lindenwood. Pemberton can't work it back on to Giwa McNeil. Change of possession will occur via the throw.
I think he's going to be a little disappointed after that one. A great play, initially a great pass, slotted in down that right side, and just not the final ball you would have wanted to see. But again, 6 minutes and 20 seconds left. I don't think they're going to be too worried about it.
Jens Hawkland commits the foul, and here's a look at this beautiful ball.
Unbelievable. Trying to go first time, and you love to see it. Honestly, a huge credit to that Lindenwood defense. In transition, it's so tough, especially when you're putting so many bodies forward in an effort to get one back.
Pemberton gets play back underway. Giwa McNeil made contact with it. A short clearance. Worked back on out wide to Wyke.
HCU trying to kill as much time as they can. A little hesitation there off that free kick. The rest not having none of it. Quick stoppage of time, and now we're back.
Up ahead looking for Wright. Oh, what a well-timed sliding challenge. It's Herrera to dispossess that. Okarayi had it knocked away from him.
Oh, great ball.
Volleyed out wide to Okarayi, but the flag is up for offside.
A little bamboozled by HCU there. I would have expected them to recycle possession, but maybe they're feeling that their opportunities to play in transition a bit more opportunistic now that Lindenwood is committing so many bodies forward. Your best defense is your best offense right now, keeping the ball out of your own third. You might as well keep it up forward.
Flicked on and ahead for Lindenwood. Ball falls to Blake, has it cleared away by HCU, and the Lions will have a throw. A reminder that our second semifinal coming up, roughly 6 Central Time p.m. locally here in Edwardsville, Illinois, between SIUE, the top seed, and Incarnate Word, the 5 seed. If this result holds, Houston Christian will move on to the championship match to play the winner of Incarnate Word, SIUE.
And again, this matchup very intriguing for Incarnate Word and SIUE, because if Lindenwood had won this match or could go on to win this match, then whoever's in the championship has punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament already by default.
Headed back on and gloved down by Aitken, who smartly sprawls on top of it to bleed clock.
So as of right now, Houston Christian, if they advance, if they're able to hold off for the remaining 4 minutes and 45 seconds, whatever that championship opponent will be, they're going to have to earn it, and they're going to have to earn their ticket to the next postseason.
Peristrello flubbed the clearance, now up ahead. It's Giwa McNeil, knocked off the ball and won back by Kafedzik. Flicked back on by HCU, clock continuing to run. Sent to the wide area. Touch taken by Makai Wright. It's Kafedzik now. Surveys. Left that cross short. It's headed away by Houston Christian. Huskies starting to pack it in now defensively. Through the middle. Hawkland can't take the touch, leaves it off for Kafedzik now. Kafedzik from distance, and Aitken makes the grab again.
That is frustration. You love the shot from distance, you love the attempt, but it's so difficult to break down that HCU defense, especially with how disciplined they've been in the last 10 to 15 minutes, that at that point you're thinking, let's just have a rip and see what happens. You're in desperation mode with under 3 minutes to go in this ball game.
Oh, nudged out wide. That is crafty. This is Pemberton heading for the corners. Has it knocked out, and it will be a throw. Daniel, how about the way this Houston Christian team, every time they come down the pitch, they look like a different offense each time?
It's completely on par, but it's also circumstances, right? Lindenwood is committing so many bodies forward. HCU is awarded so much more space than they typically play with. So that possession-based offense that is their MO, they just don't need it right now. They're up 2-0. They're going to have space to play in the final third, and you certainly don't want to be passing along the backside as confident as they are when Lindenwood is going to be pressing with as much energy as they've had all game long.
Cleared away by Gates. Zeman picks up the pieces and will steer this all the way back to Aitken. Kafedzik heads it away from danger. It's headed back on by HCU. Giwa McNeil now with it. Smartly heading to the corner and has his pocket picked by Wright.
That last possession, just such a great example of how aware HCU is of their situation. A ball back to the keeper 9 times out of 10. He is slotting that to one of their cornerbacks to develop possession and develop their offense. At this point in the match, he's just going to hoof it right down the field and hopefully continue to tick that clock down to zeros.
Kafedzik will have a free kick. It was offside. Whistled for against Houston Christian.
Jake, you almost have to treat this like a set piece. Get as much bodies forward as you can and try to put this ball in the box, which Lindenwood looks like they're able to do.
Falls to Frankham now. 90 seconds until full time here in semifinal number 1. Down the far channel comes Lindenwood. Short cross cleared away. Smartly hoofed forward again, taking more time off the clock.
Rio Pemberton, a little disappointed he didn't get a ball slotted down the right side in a full sprint. I think his teammate, he's going to cut him some slack on that one. They're just trying to get to the end of this matchup. No goal needed with 1 minute left to go.
The Houston Christian side of things still nerves, but they can feel it now. A win today would be their most in a single season since 2015 when they won 9 matches. Moreover, it punches a ticket to the OVC championship match. Drop kick from Jill. Sturdy challenge from Wright, 1 back. It's worked ahead. Hawkland now trying to roll this in behind. Cleared away again by Houston Christian. Served through the middle. That's cleared away. And a whistle and a foul. Ryan Pratt and Houston Christian have done it. Ticket punched to the OVC championship match.
3 Lindenwood Lions collapsing on the field as this one strikes 0. They really did give it all they had, but HCU just too impressive on the day. Both goal-scoring opportunities coming off of those free kicks. And I'll tell you this, the task they did defensively, Lindenwood shut out in conference play only twice this season, both at the hands of SIUE. This is one of the most potent offenses the conference has to offer, and HCU just answered with one of the best defenses in the conference.
From 2 wins in conference play a season ago to finalists In the Ohio Valley Conference, Houston Christian now awaits the winner of our second semifinal between SIUE and Incarnate Word. Daniel, briefly, your thoughts on a masterclass performance for the Huskies?
I think HCU has earned the opportunity to get themselves a warm shower, a warmer coat, and a seat in the stands to catch this SIUE matchup coming up against Incarnate Word, because they've got their ticket punched. Now it's just all about who they're going to see in that final come Saturday.
2 days off for the Huskies. The championship match Saturday, November 16th. Houston Christian takes down arguably the hottest team in the OVC in Lindenwood. The Lions can't find goal, and HCU wins it 2-0 over Lindenwood. A chance now to look at our updated bracket presented by Serve Pro, the official restoration services partner of the OVC. Houston Christian, a 2-0 win over Lindenwood. The 2 seed is through. Daniel, it's been somewhat chalk in our bracket so far.
Somewhat. I mean, again, there are so many nuances in this conference. We talk about Lindenwood's prowess throughout the regular season and where their point total was in relation to Houston Christian. But as far as the bracket is concerned, 2 is through. We'll see if 1 can match them.
SIUE and Incarnate Word coming up at 6 p.m. But for this one, Houston Christian wins it over Lindenwood